just want to ask you first, in the generic way, how does your practice help you navigate and stay sane when you pick up the news or go online every day and your jaw drops? What's your basic approach that helps?
Well, first, the day-to-day experience for me is that I get pulled around in a real emotional way right now. I mean, I feel like I'm thin-skinned, and pretty much every day on some level, I feel disturbed and upset, and sometimes grieving, and sometimes angry, and sometimes fearful. So all the different emotions are moving through. And so my practice lets me be real about that.
Mm.
Lets me just be honest that this is what's happening, and and helps me not to get lost in too much proliferation of thoughts. So one of the basic things I've found is that I have to be careful how much news I take in,
Mm.
because it's not healthy. It's an addiction, I find, to be, fixated on taking in too much. So I have to limit how much I take in. And the biggest single thing is to not get caught in a sense of a bad other.
Say more.
There's so much harm going on. So many people that it's very easy to fixate on certain players, certain political figures, and feel aversion and hate and anger directed at their personhood, and to almost get into smarmy remarks and so on. And it feels like that's responding to a limbic play of energy in the culture with more limbic reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels really important to get out of this trance of that there's bad guys out there, and just see it as there's unprocessed fear and anger that's playing out. It's playing through some bodies that are more wounded than other bodies or whatever, but not to make the person bad. And so I have a practice that I do when I feel caught in othering, and I get caught every day in it. I mean, every day I read and I filter with having somebody as a bad guy, is when I have the time, I pause and I sense what's going on in my body and my heart. And usually underneath the anger and the aversion, there's fear about what's happening. And underneath the fear, there's caring. And if I can get down to the caring, then I can sense really as it's just a play of woundedness that's on a cultural level, and it's not a bad person. And I try to teach that too. I mean, I think that it's really important that we get out of the idea of an other that's in some way evil or wrong or bad.
I have a very similar attitude in my better moments where it's not so much that person is evil. It's just, in the Buddhist sense, ignorance, just not seeing clearly how suffering is created. And in the metta practice, in the loving kindness practice, that one of the categories is the difficult one. And sometimes people say, how could you wish that one to be happy too? And I say, well, if I'm wishing for them to discover true happiness, then they're not going to hurt other people. So I can just wish that and hope that they, somewhere along the line, if not this lifetime, then future lifetimes, wake up to see things more clearly.